What is up, cool cats of the interwebs? It is your girl Haley back at it again with another episode of the pre-review crew. This time for May and June of 2024. Before we get into the games, let me introduce my cast of characters. I always have Brennan,
Hello.
and there's Mike.
What's up?
Kicking it off, we are going to talk about the games that we previewed in May. We are now reviewing those. We're going to start off with in is it Indica or Indica? I went over this last time. It's a puzzle horror single player game. It's developed by Odd Meter and published by 11-Bit Studio. It's coming out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series S and X, released on May 2nd. It's sitting at a 79 top critic average with 79% of critics recommending. Um, it's a weird one.
Yeah, so I'm looking at reviews, and that's what they're saying.
It's a real weird one. I'm not gonna lie. So I watched gameplay of it, and it's I would say it's a very mature game. It's very dark and bleak. Um, it's it's wild. It's really fucking wild. And honestly, like I got like half of it. Um some of it I didn't completely understand. Like I feel like I need to watch like a video of somebody breaking it down to explain it to me. Um but overall I enjoyed it. Like it was very different, and it was also graphically very visualizing. Like it was gorgeous to watch. I felt like I was watching a movie. I didn't feel like I was actually watching somebody play a video game.
So my only question, did you watch or play this?
I watched it.
Okay. Still. All right. The only thing I'm seeing a lot of like most of the praise that I'm seeing is coming from either the visuals or the story. And one of the biggest things I'm seeing like people complain about is gameplay. So when you were watching it, like, was it puzzles and stuff? Like what exactly was the the gameplay?
Yeah, the gameplay is basically just puzzles. So for example, spoilers, by the way, there is one portion of the game where you're in this like long, like a warehouse, and the devil on her shoulder starts talking to her, and he turns everything hellish, like everything's red, there's things on fire, it like stretches the room in half. So you have to either pray, which makes him go away, or have him basically talk down to you and basically say like you're worthless, you fucked up, like nobody wants you, to move around this room and get to the other side. But yeah, like outside of that, there's one part where you literally just walk up a massive tower in a
Yeah,
square.
I'm also seeing a lot of people are saying this game is filled with like a lot of dark humor.
Yeah, I would say that it definitely is. Like it's very for the I wish they sort of gave a little bit more as just like what time period this is set in, because I didn't fully grasp that. But it's very dark, it's very bleak. Um they sort of allude to um like SA in one of the portions of the game, somewhat in the beginning. Um so it's definitely like a mature adult. You should probably be at least like 17 or 18 if you plan on playing this, and don't sit down and play it for fun. Realize that you're going into this game, um and that it's just very, you're not playing it for the gameplay, you are playing it to experience this dark story.
And would you what's Haley's rating? Like if you were gonna add your rating to these these open critic stuff, what's Haley's rating?
I'd give it a solid 7.5. I think everybody's performance in the game was amazing. I think the visuals are amazing. I think that the only thing that this story lacks is a little bit of clarity. I think it definitely could have been clearer. Um, Especially when like you're coming to like the time period and what she's going through, because they throw the past at you through a pixelated, like, it reminds me of like a pixelated arcade game. But like when that happens, you're like, what the fuck is this? Um, so just I think having things flow a little bit more consistently. Also, the visual aspect when it comes to like the camera and the cinematography. There's one point where um, she stumbles upon a wrecked train, and the camera is like underneath the ice platform. So you see everybody that's standing on this platform from like their feet up, and they just do really weird camera angles and things like that, and it's so intriguing, and it adds to that weirdness. um but yeah, I mean, gameplay wise, there's nothing really there. It's puzzles, and there's not really many puzzles. One of them is like you grab water from a well. You do that a couple of times, and then the lady ends up pushing it over. Like, there's not a lot of gameplay here. Um, so I almost wish that they wouldn't have made this a game, and they would have just made it like a short animated video.
Mm,
But like, it's still pretty cool. I
I
think
was about,
if like, oh sorry, Mike, but
I
real
was
quick.
I do have to commend them for trying.
Oh yeah, oh definitely. And I think that they would be amazing to make something else. Um, it's just, if you're gonna put puzzles in a game, actually put puzzles in a game. It felt more like a sort of like a walking simulator, or like a point and click adventure, rather than like this, like, I don't want to say like grand experience, but if they didn't have the story and like the visual aspect, everybody would have tore this apart.
yeah, it and the more you talk about it, the more I'm thinking of like Telltale point and click adventure stuff, which I'm all for.
But I mean,
I'm all for it.
the gameplay in this was even less than that. That
Even
has,
less.
yeah, like that has quick time events, and like you get to like create or like choose your own dialogue options and things like that. And like this is just not, this ain't that
Mm,
at all. At all. Like, it's the gameplay in this is silly. It's so silly.
yes, maybe it really would be better off as like an animated show or something.
Yeah,
It,
like there's, I think it's called Gamer's Little Playground. It was a YouTube channel that does cinematic cuts. So they just take all the cutscenes and splice it into a video.
mm,
Um I watched them, and honestly, like, this, it plays well as just like a cinematic movie.
I mean, that's like on one hand, like cool, but on the other hand, I'm like, there's just why make it a video game?
You know, I don't know. Sorry, I wanted to look up other games by Odd Meter, which I think I did last time, and they have two: Scarlith, the Archer's Tale, and Indica, and the other one's like a bow and arrow shooter. I don't know. I don't really understand the game studio. Um, I don't know. I don't know what these people are up to. But whatever it is, it's interesting.
Mm.
So that's all I can really that's all I can really say there. Twitter says that it's a punk game set in an alternative history 19th century Russia. Um, my only gripe with that is I don't know much about 19th century Russia, so I wish it would give more backstory. But I don't know. They made a fucking cool game, and it was scary. I will say that.
All right, how? Just one quick question, because I'm looking at it on Steam, and it's $25. That's not a lot. Okay, so that I feel like that kind of changes not changes my opinion, but I'm more leaning towards like fine, whatever, because it's not even that it's not super expensive compared to AAA pricing.
With how visually appealing this is, I would say yes, it's worth the $25. If it wasn't as visually appealing, I would say like 15 to 20.
I was about to say, yeah, with that kind of price, I mean, you could probably find another indie game for that price that'll be better. But at the same time, if you really want to experience the story, $25 isn't too bad.
Only because part of I'm thinking is like if you get I'm trying to compare to like movie tickets to like rationalize that price. I'm like it's almost like two movies, two ish, right? At least for me, it's like around two
I
ish
don't
movie
think so.
tickets.
Yeah, around here, two would be probably about $30.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, you have a point.
So like in that, if you look at it like that for like 3 seconds, it's like if this game is how long is this game, Haley? How long did you watch this for?
Let me look 1 second.
Because that number, if it's like 8 6 8 hours or whatever, it's kind of I guess it's kind of worth it. But, as a more cinematic, less than video game experience. It's like, all right, I guess 25 is not too bad.
Yeah, I was about to say wait till it goes on sale, but 25 isn't too bad. I mean, maybe
Um,
still wait, when it's like $15, but.
so the cutscene movie is about an hour 46. Full gameplay is about 2 hours and 46.
What the fuck?
Never mind.
Oh, and
No,
I just realized I watched the full walkthrough. I didn't just watch the cinematics.
so you watched the whole game, and
Yeah.
that was what 2 hours, 2.5. What'd you say?
2 hours. We'll say 2 hours and 45 minutes.
All right. Well, two movie tickets for a game that just lasts almost like a long movie. I don't know. Get it on sale.
Yeah. Movie tickets here are about $15 a pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, same where I'm at.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, oh, hold on. Let's see. Um, okay, per Google, I don't know if this is actually correct or not, but apparently, I think let's say it's Russian. No? Uh, I don't know. Apparently, Indica means unique or beautiful. I don't know how true that is. I could be lying out of my ass. Google could be telling me wrong things right now, but yeah.
Not the mighty Google.
Google will never lead us wrong. But speaking of leading wrong, And leading an army of vampires, let's talk about V Rising. It's a survival open world single and multiplayer game developed by Stunlock Studios and published by Level Infinite. It released on PC and PS5 on May 8th for the PC, PS5 on a later date. It has an 85 top critic average with 86% of critics recommending.
I lost my life to the 1.0 update like 2 weeks ago. It's really good. They made a lot of cute new changes. And cute, I mean, like, they made storage easier by making, they just made storage easier. Uh, there was another area that they added, which you go maybe like half a mid game, you go there to like hang out there for a bit, but then end game you spend most of your time there. It's a cool new zone. Yeah, it's just good. It's just good. I enjoy it. I think it does survival crafting. Like when you think of survival crafting, I think most people would probably think of like Rust, maybe, or like fucking the forest, like stuff like that. And this kind of is that in a weird way, but isn't. And I think it puts enough of a spin on the survival crafting that makes it interesting enough to at least like look into. Um, yeah, it's good shit. I'm happy with these reviews.
Yeah, I'm seeing it's a lot of these people are saying if you like survival games that this is kind of really up people's alley, especially the vampire theme. They're saying how it really does help carry this.
Yeah, it does vampires fairly well, I would think. Like it's a cool enough aesthetic thrown over it that just I don't know, it just kind of works. Like especially with the whole day night cycle. Like I've mentioned that before, but it makes traversal more interesting. It makes the off hours of a day, your stereotypical day, survival crafting. It makes the off hours that much more interesting. Um, it just puts enough of a spin on normal tropes that I like. Even if you were to like the standard ones, though, I think that one would also like this, and it's especially because it's more like I feel like progression is a lot more tangible. You have like goals that you can look for with the whole V blood system, which is like their bosses. It's like a whole tree essentially of bosses, and you kind of scroll up to see your list, and it shows you which if you kill this boss, it unlocks this crafting material or this refinement structure or whatever. So like you're constantly like looking for gear to beat these bosses, to then get more gear and beat the next bosses. It feels very good in its progression. Like you always feel like you're doing something worthwhile. I like it a lot.
I'm reading if this game is challenging. Would you say it's a challenge?
Um, it gets there towards the end, yeah. Um, I would say like the last, I don't know, handful of bosses are kind of challenging. It also depends, like, yes, like short answer, yes, at points. Maybe towards like the mid game, it starts to get a little harder because it's fairly easy in the beginning. Like not terribly easy, but easy enough. But at the end, yeah, I'm like, there's one boss I haven't finished it. Like I haven't beaten Dracula's last boss. I haven't fought him because the guy before him is like stupid. He's like really dumb. I hate him. Adam the Firstborn or something. He just is trash. But they recently released a patch that kind of adjusted certain bosses, and he was one of them. And I was so happy. I was like, yeah, fuck this guy. So I'm gonna have to go back and try that. At points, yes, it is difficult.
What would you say for somebody sort of like getting into games like this for the first time?
Uh, you mean like getting into survival crafting stuff?
Yeah.
Um,
With how challenging it is, would you say this is like a good entry or
oh, I mean, it's not like Dark Souls hard or whatever. Um, there's just certain bosses that are just kind of tricky, um, but not like terribly difficult. Um, it's not very like it's kind of unforgiving in a way too, and there's a lot of ways that you can kind of go in and tweak certain settings to make it easier, harder, whatever. It's not terribly hard. I don't know, for a first timer though, like it's uh, it's not as I don't know. I guess if you're like thinking that most survival games are kind of like Rust in that way, and you're like, I don't really like that. I don't know. Rising is more of like the complete opposite of that. And I know I'm not being very like, I know it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, but I don't know. I don't know what I would say to a first timer getting into it.
well,
I mean, again, like, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead,
Uh,
go ahead.
I'm about to say, like in Daika, the entry fee isn't a full 60 or 70. I mean, it's 35. So I think, with what I'm reading, the amount of content you're getting, the challenge that you're getting, the experience, 35, I don't think it's too bad to, really try this.
Yeah, I think I kind of wish it was 30, to be honest. I don't know. The 35 just bothers me. I wish it was just 30. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, right? Yeah, right?
Like
Like,
that's the same exact thing with Indica. Like it's 25 and I'm just like
yeah, just make it 20.
20.
Yeah, yeah. Why?
You want a nice even number.
There's something more appealing about the even number. I don't know. Yeah,
Like you tell me 69.99, I'm like, okay, 70 or 59.99. Okay, 60. 25. I'm gonna sit there and look at you and be like, I'm gonna wait till you go on sale.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Out of principle.
I still think it was. I still think it's worth it, to be honest. Just especially compared to how much time I've put into it and the general enjoyment. I bought it back in the day, I think when it was early access, and I can't tell you how much it was on, like what they sold it for then. Maybe it was around the same price, but like, oh man, I would say it's worth it. I think I have like well over like 200 hours in this game. Like, I have to on paper say that it's worth it. I recommend.
Yeah, when you hear somebody say they got that amount of hours, like the curiosity starts to starts to go up.
Yeah, it's for 35. I would. Yeah, again, I wish it was 30 though. It kind of that bothers me.
Well, speaking about being bothered, we're gonna then kick it over to the last game for May, and it is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. It's an action adventure single player game developed by Ninja Theory and published by Xbox Game Studios. Released on PC, Xbox Series S and X on May 21st, it has an 81 top critic average with 75% of critics recommending.
Okay, I am reading the reviews and they are all over the place for this game. Like
Right?
I'm seeing some people give this game complete perfect scores, and then I'm looking at like 5 out of 10s and 6 out of 10s.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same fucking thing. It just goes all over the place, and then it'll just be like 70. Like, yeah, man, it's okay. Like, what the fuck is going on? Then back to a 9. Like, what?
And people are like kind of going against each other. Like some people are saying like like the perfect score I'm reading from your game, or like they're saying the story is go, they tell the story with grace, confidence, and conviction. And then I'm looking at another review, and it's like, no, the story was told was a muddled portrayal, of mental illness, and it doesn't have a good story. I'm just like, what the hell? Like, this is everywhere right now.
I feel like it has to like I don't know, like click with certain people or something. Like I don't understand. You really have people either loving or just despising this, and it's kind of hilarious.
Like, in all honesty, I think the first one didn't need a sequel. They could have left it where it was at. It would have been perfectly fine. It was great. And then they followed it up. And I'm just like, what do you do? And I
Yeah,
just
I kind of feel the same way. I really thought the first one was a complete package on its own. Um, and I don't think, like, when they do a sequel, you're like, okay, the first one did so well, they just want to, continue it, cash in, and get a sequel going. But I don't remember how well the first one did.
I think the first one did pretty well. Let me look it up.
I want to say it like did around the same. Like it either clicked with certain people or it just didn't. Like similar scoring too, probably.
Okay, so looking at everything on Wikipedia, take that with a grain of salt. Open Critic had it at 81%. Metacritic had PC at 83, PS4 at 81, Xbox One at 88, and Switch at 80. Game Informer gave it an 8 out of 10. GameSpot gave it an 8 out of 10. Giant Bomb gave it a 4 out of 5. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Gamer gave it a 78 out of 100. Destructoid gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can understand a sequel then.
It also won 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It won 16 awards between 2017 to 2019.
I wonder, I don't know. I did, like I don't I never played the first one, so I can't say. But I imagine like it probably would get reviewed similarly.
I mean, they kind of did. Um, Let me see. I'm just looking up like sales and stuff like that. Million. They sold over 1 million units for the first one. Okay. I didn't play the first one. I just saw a lot of it, and yeah, I really like we said earlier. I thought it was a complete package. I didn't need any more. So I'm kind of wondering like why they did the sequel. If they felt it needed a sequel, but I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know.
I mean, either way, I'm glad that this has done as well as it did. It seems like it's done just on par, if not just a tiny bit worse than the first one. So it's great to see that people still really enjoyed it. I do agree that a game like this isn't for everybody. Just like Indica, it's not going to be for everyone. You either like enjoy those rich deep stories, um while this one does have a lot more gameplay, um or it's just not for you. And I feel like with Senua you really have to sort of read between the lines sometimes because it is talking about mental health.
Unrelated. Fingal Belmont at Niche Gamer gave this a 4 out of 10. And the last line is, "It is an unsatisfying experience that fails to live up to the original. And you still can't skip cutscenes. Why would you want to skip cutscenes in this game?" Like, this clearly wasn't a game for this person, right? Like, this, just skipping the cutscenes would completely ruin your enjoyment of this.
Yeah, that's weird. This is not a cutscene skipping game.
I just thought that was funny. Just a 4 out of 10. Like, sorry, Fingal Belmont. You have a very fun name to say.
Let's move along to even funnier things. So, a bit of backstory for the games that we're going to talk about in June. Um, I'm the only one who took it seriously, apparently.
I took it very seriously, thank you.
About? Yeah, we both took this very seriously. What are you talking about?
The guys did not take it seriously at all, so we were kicking it off with two crazy and wacky games that I honestly never thought I'd be talking about in my life. The first one is the Smurfs Village Party. It's a party, single, and multiplayer game. It's developed by Balio Studios and published by Microids. It's coming out on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series SX, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch on June 6th.
All right, this is just pure quality and amazingness.
Yeah, clearly this is going to be in the running for Game of the Year. Like, at least Best Party Game of the Year. I mean, just look at these mini games. They've got so many of them. There's like a sledding one, and a one where this big guy is like, you're like on a table. This big guy's like, "Brr, brr, brr," he's trying to crush you, and you got there's airplanes and stuff. Oh, dude, Papa Smurf's here, dude. It's I was really, I was really worried that they were gonna make Papa Smurf like part of the DLC. Like Papa Smurf. Please, Papa Smurf, $4.99. I was really hoping that they wouldn't do that, and they didn't. So I'm really glad there's no Papa Smurf DLC, because I'm just really sick of these developers cutting out content and then selling it to you at a later date. So I'm just glad Papa Smurf is there. That's my main. I main Papa Smurf in Smurfs Party. I also mained Super Smurf Party Adventure on the Nintendo 64. So I've just been playing Papa Smurf this whole time. So I'm really glad he wasn't sold as DLC. I think Papa Smurf's probably my favorite Smurf.
For some background, Balio Studio makes sort of games like this. They have made Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, um, a game called
PS5.
Escape
No,
Game.
wait, no, go back. Tell them what console it's for. Tell them that there's a PS5 game called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
There is a. Well, I'm looking at the Steam page, so.
Oh my god, they made Garfield Lasagna Party.
They're making a Totally Spies game.
Okay, Totally Spies is awesome. We gotta
Totally
admit that.
Spies is awesome. I will say that.
Garfield.
There's a game called The Sisters Party of the Year.
No, don't forget the Sisters 2 Road to Fame.
Oh yeah. Quest for Excalibur Poi du Fu? What? That sounded racist.
I think it's French. Or Belgium. I think
mean,
they're Belgian. I think they're a Belgian company.
So, yeah, they make a lot of sort of just silly bullshit games that I honestly have no clue how they make any money.
Yeah, it looks like they just do nothing but party games.
What are you talking about? Garfield Lasagna Party was a banger. Dude, that sold at least a million zillion copies.
Okay, no joke. I went to the Garfield Lasagna Party page. It has very positive reviews.
Yeah, of
Oh
course it
my
does. I was at the
god.
midnight. I was at the midnight release, dude. I was there. Like, I was there. You know, I was there. I got there maybe like 10, like 10 p.m. I lined it up outside waiting for Garfield Lasagna Party too. Sophomore year in college was wild, crazy.
Um,
We played the shit out of Garfield Lasagna Party, so I'm really excited for Smurfs Village Party. It's gonna be easily their best game
Jesus.
they've ever made.
So it looks like this develop or the publisher sort of publishes silly games like this. They have like Agatha Christie. They have ones called My Universe where it's like doctors and nurses and interior designer and things like that. They have one called the Murder Mystery Machine, Equestrians. Um, yeah.
Fuck me, Freddy. They have one called UFO Robot. Holy shit.
This is yeah. No,
I I have I don't even know.
we're looking at Party Game of the Year, people. Okay, that's all. That's all. That's all I'm seeing. I just
I found a game for Brennan.
did you see that they have a mini game where you ride a snail?
There's one
It's,
called Red Riding Hood Starcross Lovers
why would I love that one?
because Red Riding Hood and the werewolf are star-crossed lovers. Brendan loves
No,
romance games.
no, I love Smurf games,
Romance games.
dude.
Their Agatha Christie games are $40.
Can we go back to the snails?
No.
Can we get a close up zoom in on the snail animation? That's some quality shit, dude. That's
Absolutely not.
there's this is gonna win so many awards.
I absolutely hate it here.
It's also, it looks like it has an overworld where you pick all your games and everything.
I love party games with overworld. Oh my god.
Anyway, we're going to move along before Brennan dies of a heart attack. Oh, Jesus. And speaking of a heart attack, the next game is Drug Dealer Simulator 2. It's a simulation open world single slash multiplayer. It's developed by Byte Runners and published by Movie Games SA. It's coming out on PC on the 20th.
Um, if you're a fan of Drug Dealer Simulator 1, you're not going to want to miss out on Drug Dealer Simulator 2. Like,
I mean, isn't it the American dream?
I remember the first thing, it was, I don't know, like a year ago, June 12th, 2023, where after a long weekend of just playing Drug Dealer Simulator and finishing it, my first thought upon putting it down and seeing the credits roll was, I really want to see a Drug Dealer Simulator 2. I need to know what happens to my drug dealer in his simulator. I wonder, oh my god, do you think they're gonna let you deal fucking heroin in this game? Because I think in the first game that was DLC pack. I think the heroin DLC came out later. But do you think heroin's gonna be available immediately on this, or am I gonna have to pay more money to get heroin?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I saw Markiplier um play the first one. That's when I saw this, I was like, the first one was just hilarious. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they're making a second one. It's like Goat Simulator. Like, I would not take the game seriously at all, but it looks like so much fun for some reason.
Okay, so in this one, it's the world is 6 times bigger than the first game. You can visit towns and villages, and you get to experience the tropical weather. You get to expand and decorate your hideout and lab. You can invite your friends to play in co op mode. Deal with crooked cops, gangs, and local militia. Avoid, bribe, or run from enemies. Make getaways using the parkour system. Says it's early 2000s technology and an atmosphere of a Caribbean dictatorship full of colorful characters with their own ambitions and agendas. I'm for how silly I find this. I think it's neat that they're going so deep with it. Um, I don't, you're never gonna catch me playing something like
I
this.
like that you can quote deal with crooked cops, gangs, and local militia. That sounds like fun. I like dealing with crooked gangs. I mean, crooked cops and gangs.
You can blow up your enemies. I'm watching on Steam, the Steam reel right now. He's blowing up his enemy, getting chased by the cops. It looks like you can do heroin, Brendan. You gotta upgrade your lab and be
Oh,
able to cut the heroin.
So you start out from at the bottom.
yeah,
Yeah, you
you
gotta
have
work your
to.
way to the top.
Sounds like you start out with. God damn it! No heroin. What's a homie gonna do to get some fucking heroin?
That is Brennan is joking
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
legal reasons.
No. Yeah. The heroin DLC. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's
Okay.
no. It'll come out later.
Anyway, um, so while Brennan pre-orders the drug DLC for Drug Dealer Simulator, the last one we're gonna talk about is not a full game. I do believe it's technically a DLC.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, it's Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. It's an action RPG. It's single player, developed by From Software, published by Bandai Namco, coming out on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series S and X the day after Drug Dealer Simulator. So if you want to instead spend your time whacking things and not dealing drugs, go this route.
Okay, all I'm gonna say about this, it's more fucking Elden Ring, man. Like, do I gotta say any more?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's. I feel like there's a lot of like untouched stuff in the lore. So I feel like this is their way of kind of like expanding upon certain stuff. I'm mostly talking about Mikola. Like Mikola was vaguely referenced in the first, you know, part, I guess if you want to call it. And this hopefully would seem like it's actually gonna explore more of that to some degree. So I'm just even from like I don't know. I've always been a sucker for FromSoft DLC. It's always usually really good, both in the case of Dark Souls One, the Artorias one, and then Bloodborne's First Hunters or whatever. That shit was tough, but it was so good though, and it expanded upon the lore in such a cool way that like made sense and it answered questions. It posed more questions, but it answered some of your previous ones, so that it like felt good, even just to get more of the story. That's the kind of shit that you want. Hopefully, they just make this though, and they're done. That's it. No more Elden Ring. Move on to your next thing.
Yeah, Armored Core DLC.
I Yeah, I'm just really fascinated. Oh, by the way, I'd like to clarify that this was my pick.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I thought it was Brennan's.
No, it
No, I
wasn't.
picked Smurf Adventure.
I thought you picked two games.
Anyway, I the Elden Ring lore fascinates me. It's not a game that I would play, but it's one that I just like sort of listening to people talk about because there is so much lore and there's so much stuff going on and it's so like deep and involved. So I'm fascinated about this new DLC just for the lore purposes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. Oh, yeah, but that was the thing I liked about Elden Ring the most was like the story and the background. And like Brennan said, I hope this really answers a lot of the questions I have, especially about Mikola. Um, because you know you get teased by him so much, and they give you nothing. So hopefully this does answer questions, and like I said, it's more Elden Ring, which I'm down for.
Like I'm just so curious, especially like you didn't get a lot about Mikola in the first game, like you guys said, and his character or their character has always been one that like I'm just like, well, why? Like, why are we not getting more of this character? Why are they so fascinating? Like, it just kept me like sort of Googling the same questions, just worded differently to see if I'd find an answer. And now I can understand why. So, like, I'm super excited to see um, how this goes.
I think it's cool too that like at least of the two DLCs that I mentioned before, the Artorias one and the other Hunter one from Bloodborne, both of those take place in the past, or at least the Bloodborne one takes place in like alternate past, whatever. This is one of their first that I think I've personally played. One of their first DLCs that takes place after the main story because you're looking. I was watching the trailer before, and the tree seemed to be pretty fucked up. So like, it's gotta happen after the main game, right? Like spoilers, sorry, but that's the right.
I heard some people say it takes place before.
Fuck. Damn. I mean, maybe. Again, who knows? It wouldn't
It's
surprise me if it did.
it's in one of the trailers, like the lead woman, I don't remember her what her name is, but you see her sort of step out of this blood fleshy area and she's grabbing onto like these gold strands. And then it talks about like a war that has happened. So, yeah, I think it takes place before.
See what you're saying. I hope you're wrong.
I have nothing to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give us a ton of the lore and answers that we want, even if it's about the past, because we can see what happened in the past and get like the thoughts, or not the thoughts, but like the just be able to see for ourselves how it happened instead of us playing it and being told, oh yeah, this happened such and such this way. It's like, okay, we get to actually play it and get to experience how we got to where Elden Ring starts in the first place.
Yeah, I can see that. I do dig a good time travel back story. Like, always in favor of that shit.
Okay. Question. How and it seems like pricing has been sort of something that we've been talking about this episode. Um there is a $40 price tag on this DLC.
So I don't know what the DLCs. I can look them up really quick, but I don't know what the DLCs price like normally are. It sounds really high.
Well,
I'm just gonna
a,
guess.
original game $60.
Well, back in the 90s, this is what the DLCs did. Um, you bought the base game for 60 and the DLC was like 30, $40. But the DLC gave you an entire, game worth of content. So I'm hoping that it's $40 because we're gonna get another entire game worth of content.
Yeah, like for example, take didn't like technically like Spider-Man Miles Morales, wasn't that supposed to like technically be like a side game or a DLC? The same with like Assassin's Creed Mirage.
I think so. I
Um
vaguely remember that
and
being a possibility.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla also had a like a 20, 25, $30 DLC as well.
Well, I mean, just look at StarCraft. You had the original StarCraft, and then Brood War was like another 60 on top of that.
I think I guess what I'm just trying to get at is like DLC is just additional content. But what at what point is pricing additional content at almost the same price as the base game? Like where do we draw the line?
So on one hand, I want to like just quickly, briefly agree with Mike in that at least back in the day, and kind of the golden example, not because it's back in the day, but that's just kind of happened anyway. Something like Brood War or Lord of Destruction for Diablo 2. I think if you're able to add something to the game, like an extra act or whatever, or more story in some case, but like also able to affect the rest of the gameplay somehow by like, I don't know, at least in Diablo's case, it changed like gearing up and how to gear. It changed that completely. Um, so I feel like it has to. I want to defend it really quick, but then to answer your question, where should it lie though? I don't know. Fucking $30 maximum, maybe, because you kind of have to assume that there's going to be a substantial amount of game to warrant that price, right? So like, but I don't know at what point do you make that much of another game and then sell it back to people for $40? I don't know. It's kind of weird if you think about it. It's like, well, why not just make a sequel at that point? If you're like, if you put in 40% of whatever compared to the base game into this DLC overall, it's like, why not just make another fucking game? I don't know, man. This is really weird.
I'm just old, so I'm used to this kind of thing.
I just think it like it's something to consider, especially as the price of games is rising. It's just like are you driving people towards your game or away from your game when you're literally basically making them pay twice but for something that's add-on but might not be as long as your original game? Like to me, if you're going to charge like 30, $40 for DLC, I better basically be getting close to the same amount of playtime, the same amount of depth, the same amount of story as the original game. Or you're just shorting me, and that's not fair. Like I'm because you figure at the end of the day, if you bought Elden Ring, you paid $60. And then you have to buy the DLC. If you didn't buy it bundled together, that's another $40. You're looking at $100 for this video game? Like Elden Ring might be worth it, but in the context of something else, like do we just let everyone start getting away with this?
Okay, really quick. Yes, I totally see what you're saying. 100%, I see what you're saying. To pay $100 for a game is kind of like, to get the full experience is a lot, but it's not like a
Fighting
video
games.
game. Hmm?
I said fighting games.
Thank you. Yes, there's a lot of. It's not exactly new. Would you feel better if the only way I can break this up is like, I'm hoping that, again, I'm using Bloodborne Old Hunters as a comparison. $20, right? And this is 40. So but even just in general, do you think it would be? Do you think people are more likely to look at an expansion like this that's upfront $40? Here's everything compared to the other piecemeal stuff that we get for something like Spider-Man, right? Where it's episode 1 is like $15, episode 2 is another $15, and then episode 3 of that same DLC string is another $15. That when you look at it like that though, I'm like, I don't know, the 40 is not that bad actually. Because it's not like being, piece crumb, like piece fed to you for $15 each time, right?
Oh, I definitely agree. When you do the episodic stuff like that, just doesn't make any fucking sense. But at the same exact time, I just think that DLC bordering close to the same price as the full game is just like, if the content isn't there, then it isn't worth it.
And I think this is something that From Software is going to really have to prove to us is whether or not they are giving us what we're paying for, or if you know I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because From Software has been good to us for years. Um, but at the same time, it's like if they don't deliver, I'd hate to be like, yeah, they completely fucked us and they charged $40 because they knew everybody was going to pay it.
Yeah, like I feel like in the case of when you're looking at From Software and Elden Ring, I think the price tag on this game is going to be worth it. But I'm more so trying to make my case for games like Assassin's Creed, games like Spider Man, anybody who does the episodic bullshit with their DLC. Like, is it worth it coming from them? So that's sort of like where my whole thing lies, is like, sure, From Software can pull this off because I bet you 10 to 1 this thing is packed with hours and hours of gameplay and it's going to be awesome and there's so much lore and I'm so happy for them. But I don't want other developers to look at this and be like, oh my god, we can do the same thing that they did, and they give us like a 5-hour DLC pack, and then I'm sitting here going, I just paid $40 and this has no replay value.
I see where you're coming from completely.
So I think it's just something that everyone sort of has to be on the lookout for, because like, especially like, the price of base games is rising. So like $70 and then $40 on top of that, like, games are getting expensive. It is not like, you want to play the DLC, you want to play the extra stuff, especially when it comes from Software, because that's more story. That's just not extra bullshit. Here you go, we're tossing this in for funsies. Um, but it's like, it's just expensive out here. Gaming is really becoming a luxury, especially if you're trying to play all the AAA titles and keep up with everybody. It's just, it's expensive.
That's why I wait for most games to go on sale nowadays.
Yep.
I just, and I don't even want to get started on episodic games, because I just saw like Garten of Banban and I'm just like, those are $10 a piece. There's like 7 chapters, if not more. Like, your game is not worth 70 fucking dollars. You
Dude,
want to play a good game? Go play Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy. That's a good game.
Play Drug Dealer Simulator
1 and 2.
at the same time.
Yeah. Don't
Mm.
forget Smurfs Village Party.
Definitely Smurfs Village Party.
Oh, Jesus Lord. Anyway, that is it for the end of this episode. There are a lot of game announcements that are going to be happening very soon. And so next next month's episode. We'll talk about some of the upcoming like Sony has their thing coming out. Nintendo probably has a direct coming out. Xbox has a showcase. Since E3 isn't a thing anymore, everybody is doing their own stuff. So we will talk about that in the next episode. Let's kick it over to some final thoughts if anybody has any.
I think Drug Dealer Simulator 2 is probably going to be one of the top games of the year, hands down. We're looking at a game of the year contender.
Yeah, I totally agree. If it doesn't hit Game of the Year, I was gonna say I'll cut my hair, but I'm not gonna take that risk.
You should just do it anyway. You should just go. What point of living? What is the point of living if you can't play the greatest game of the year, Drug Dealer Simulator 2, and not look at 10 out of 10s across the board? I think it's going to put GTA 6 to shame.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I have to agree with you. Yeah, sure.
Mike definitely doesn't want to take that bet.
I'm like Samson. My hair's my power.
God. I honestly, I don't fucking know. We're getting into the middle of the year. Everything is sort of just up in the air. Everyone's waiting for those like hardcore end of the year releases. And I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, that's what my final thought is just gonna be. Everybody just start keeping your eyes open. You know, we're already in June. Like Haley said, all the big conferences or showcases now, because like you said, E3 is just not a thing anymore. But you know, we got all the showcases coming, so we're gonna be getting a crap ton of news pretty soon. Um, so I would just say for now, you know, play some Drug Dealer Simulator and keep your eyes open because you know, Drug Dealer Simulator 3, they're gonna announce that soon. So
Yeah. But outside of that, that is our episode for May and June 2024. So I hope you have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we will catch you back here next time to see how well these silly games held up against the critics and what everyone thinks of the Elden Ring DLC. We will catch you next time. Goodbye.
bye.
I love you.
They don't love you.
I know. But that won't stop me.